The medical alert. The 10 worst fruits that raise blood sugar levels. Did you know that some fruits, which seem harmless, can actually be real traps for your health? That's right. Fruits that many people believe are healthy options can, in reality, be sabotaging your glucose control, harming your metabolic health, and even speeding up the development of problems like diabetes, fatty liver, and insulin resistance. And the scariest part is that these fruits are on millions of people's tables every day, at breakfast, snacks, and even desserts. Can you believe that, in some cases, the amount of sugar present in a simple serving of these fruits can be comparable, or even higher, than that of a soda or a piece of cake? And no, we're not talking about processed sweets, desserts, or ultra-processed foods. We're talking about fruits. That's right, fruits that you possibly have in your kitchen right now. Fruits you offer your kids, your parents, and even yourself, thinking you're making the best choice. But do you really know which fruits these are? Is your eating routine silently raising your blood sugar levels? Is that seemingly harmless habit actually making you more tired, inflamed, gaining belly fat, and putting your health at risk? And there's more. One of these fruits in particular is the worst of them all. By far, a real sugar bomb disguised as a healthy choice. And I guarantee you'll be surprised when you find out which one it is. So if you want to protect your health, understand what's really raising your glucose, and avoid hidden traps in your daily life, stay with me until the end of this video. Because what I'm about to tell you can literally change your life and completely transform your relationship with food. Are you ready to find out which are the 10 worst fruits for anyone wanting to control blood sugar? Then come with me, because the list starts now. Number 10. Raisins. When we talk about foods that directly impact blood sugar levels, few imagine that a common ingredient like raisins can be one of the big villains. Yes, these little dried fruits, so common in breads, cakes, desserts, and even salads, are true concentrated sugar bombs. This happens because when water is removed from the grape during the dehydration process, the natural sugars become much more concentrated, making raisins a food with a very high glycemic index. Maybe you never stop to think about this, but a simple portion of raisins can contain as much sugar as a chocolate bar. And what's the problem with that? This excess sugar is rapidly absorbed by the body, causing abrupt spikes in blood glucose. For those with prediabetes, diabetes, or even wanting to control weight, this is extremely harmful. After all, constant glycemic spikes overload the pancreas and favor insulin resistance. But that's not all. Frequent consumption of raisins can also trigger that dangerous cycle of hunger and binge eating. This happens because after the glucose spike, there's a drop that causes tiredness, irritability, and that almost uncontrollable desire to eat something sweet again. And guess what? Often, the person ends up consuming more carbs and sugar, worsening the problem even more. It's a silent cycle that harms not only glucose levels, but also metabolism as a whole. And of course, it's worth reflecting here. Is it really worth consuming raisins so routinely? Especially when there are so many other snack and treat options that offer flavor, nutrients, and at the same time, don't overload the body so much. It's possible, yes, to make better choices without giving up pleasure at the table and without risking your health. This doesn't mean you need to completely eliminate raisins from your life, but rather understand that they should be consumed with great moderation and preferably combined with foods rich in fiber, good fats, or protein. This combination helps reduce the glycemic impact, making consumption more balanced and less harmful. So here's the alert. If you want to control your blood sugar levels, whether for prevention, metabolic health, or diabetes management, pay close attention to raisins. They seem harmless, are tiny, but can be a big problem disguised as a healthy snack. Number 9. Ripe mango. Ripe mango is an irresistible tropical fruit, sweet, juicy, and highly appreciated in many parts of the world. However, what few know is that as mango ripens, its amount of natural sugars rises considerably. This means a very sweet mango, the kind that melts in your mouth, can become a real danger for anyone needing to keep glucose levels in check. Behind all that flavor, mango concentrates a good amount of fructose and glucose, two types of natural sugars which, in excess, cause rapid blood sugar elevation. Of course, we're talking about a natural food with fibers and important vitamins, but when it comes to glycemic balance, the problem is exactly the quantity and ripeness level of the fruit. Additionally, the glycemic index of ripe mango is considered medium-high, meaning it has the potential to cause glycemic spikes if consumed alone. For example, eating a whole mango in the afternoon without any other food that helps slow absorption practically guarantees a temporary overload for the pancreas. And if this happens frequently, in the long term it can contribute to insulin resistance and the development of type 2 diabetes. Have you noticed that many times you feel sleepy or tired after eating a large amount of very sweet fruits? That's one of the signs of the rebound effect, when sugar rises rapidly and then crashes, causing discomfort and early hunger. This is exactly the cycle we want to avoid when talking about glycemic control. It's important to clarify. This doesn't mean demonizing mango, but understanding that its consumption must be strategic. Opting for smaller pieces, combining with sources of healthy fat like nuts or protein, like natural yogurt, can be an excellent way to enjoy the benefits of the fruit without suffering from glycemic spikes. And if you think ripe mango is already dangerous, I'll tell you there's an even worse fruit. A fruit that raises blood sugar like no other, and I will reveal it only in the last chapter of this video. You can't miss this information. Number 8. Ripe banana. Banana is one of the most consumed fruits in the world, known for its practicality and naturally sweet flavor. However, when it reaches its ripest stage, with skins darkly spotted, its sugar content rises significantly. This happens because the starches present in the banana start converting into simple sugars during the ripening process. This transformation makes ripe banana have a much higher glycemic impact than many imagine. In other words, consuming a very ripe banana, especially on an empty stomach or alone, can lead to a rapid increase in blood glucose. And this effect can be even more pronounced in people with diabetes, prediabetes, or insulin resistance. Besides the high glucose and fructose content, ripe banana has a medium glycemic index, which approaches concerning values depending on the ripeness degree. This means it not only raises blood sugar rapidly, but also keeps it elevated longer. This is exactly the kind of pattern we want to avoid when the goal is to protect the pancreas and metabolic health. And here's a curious detail. Many people associate banana with a healthy food, and indeed, it has potassium, fibers, and important vitamins. The problem is not the fruit itself, but the context in which it is consumed. For example, a ripe banana before bed or alone mid-morning can be a bad idea for those wanting to control glucose. On the other hand, if combined with seeds, peanut butter, or a protein source, the glycemic impact becomes much lower. It's the famous balance that needs to be prioritized, especially for those living with metabolic concerns. But if you think ripe banana tops the list, get ready, because the fruit that raises blood sugar the most is yet to be revealed. And without a doubt, it will surprise you greatly in the last chapter of this video. Number 7. Dried fig. When we talk about fig, many people think of a sweet and juicy fruit. However, in its dried version, dried fig becomes a true sugar bomb. And unlike fresh fig, which still carries a lot of water, dried fig loses almost all of its liquid content, becoming highly concentrated in natural sugars. Just to give you an idea, a small portion of dried fig can contain over 25 grams of carbohydrates, most of them in the form of sugar. That's more than what you find in many processed desserts. In other words, despite looking like a healthy snack, the blood sugar impact of dried fig is practically the same as eating a common sweet. And the problem doesn't stop there. Because it's small and extremely tasty, dried fig is consumed in large amounts without the person noticing. It's very easy to eat 5, 6, even 10 units at once, which is equivalent to a real sugar festival in the body. And of course, this quickly translates into high blood glucose, pancreas overload, and consequently increased risk of developing insulin resistance. Now imagine repeating this habit daily, as many people do, believing they are choosing something natural and healthy. Over days, weeks, and months, the accumulated effect of these glycemic spikes weakens the metabolic system, making it much harder to keep glucose balanced. If you like dried fig, the recommendation is clear. Consume it very moderately, and if possible, always paired with sources of good fats or proteins, which helps slow sugar absorption. And of course, stay with me until the end of this video, because in the last chapter I'll reveal without a doubt which is the champion fruit in raising blood sugar levels. You need to know this to protect your health. Number 6. Date. The date fruit carries a reputation for being extremely healthy, mainly because it's a source of fibers, minerals, and natural energy. However, what many people don't know is that it's also among the foods with the highest sugar concentration in the fruit world. Just a look at the nutritional composition shows about 70% of the date's weight is pure sugar. What makes dates even more dangerous for those needing to control glucose levels is the combination of high sugar concentration with a soft texture and irresistible flavor. This facilitates excessive consumption, often without the person noticing. Eating 3 or 4 dates at once is very common, and this equals practically the same amount of sugar present in a medium piece of cake. Also, the glycemic index of dates is high, meaning they not only contain a lot of sugar, but also cause this sugar to be absorbed extremely quickly by the body. The result? Sudden spikes in blood glucose, followed by drops that cause tiredness, drowsiness, and that uncontrollable desire to consume even more sweets. For those living with diabetes, prediabetes, or even wanting to prevent these conditions, it's crucial to understand that dates should be seen as a natural sweet, and not just any fruit. Its consumption needs to be thought through, planned, and especially very moderate. By the way, if you're already surprised by how much dates impact your glucose, get ready. Because the fruit that raises blood sugar the most hasn't been revealed yet, but I'll tell you in the last chapter of this video. And, without a doubt, this information will surprise you deeply. Number 5. Pineapple. Pineapple is a tropical fruit loved by many. Refreshing, tasty, and extremely juicy, it's also known for its digestive benefits thanks to bromelain, an enzyme that helps break down proteins. However, there's a side of pineapple that not everyone knows, the significant impact it has on blood sugar levels. This happens because pineapple has a high glycemic index, especially when consumed in its sweetest, ripest form. This index indicates how quickly the carbohydrates in the food turn into glucose and enter the bloodstream. And in pineapple's case, this speed is quite high. The result? Glycemic spikes that can be quite problematic for those needing to take care of metabolic health. Many people are mistaken thinking that, since it's a fruit, pineapple poses no risk. After all, it's natural, right? Yes, it's natural, but that doesn't exempt it from its biochemical effects on the body. In fact, this is one of the biggest nutrition traps, thinking everything that comes from nature automatically does good without considering quantity and consumption context. To make things even more delicate, pineapple is a fruit low in fiber compared to other fruits. And as you've probably heard, fibers help slow sugar absorption, avoiding such aggressive spikes. When fiber is lower, like in pineapple's case, sugar enters the blood like a true jet. Given that, the recommendation is clear. If you like pineapple, consume it very moderately, and whenever possible, combine it with foods that provide good fats or protein, like nuts, yogurt, or low-fat cheeses. This helps reduce the glycemic impact. But beware, if you think pineapple already represents a danger to glucose, know that there's still a fruit that can be even worse. And I'll reveal which one in the last chapter of this video. You cannot miss this revelation. Number 4. Watermelon. Watermelon is that fruit that practically defines hot days. Refreshing, juicy, and extremely pleasant, it's composed of over 90% water. At first glance, it even seems hard to believe that something so light and hydrating could pose risks to blood sugar levels. But surprisingly, it does, and not a little. The problem with watermelon isn't the total carbohydrate amount, which is relatively low compared to other fruits. The real problem lies in the glycemic index, which is considered high. This means that although it doesn't have as much sugar as other fruits on the list, the sugar it does have is absorbed very quickly by the body, causing abrupt spikes in glycemia. And there's more. Watermelon is an extremely easy fruit to consume in large quantities. After all, who hasn't cut a slice, then grabbed another, and another, until realizing they ate practically half a watermelon alone? This makes the glycemic load, which considers both glycemic index and amount ingested, very high in practice. Also, because it's low in fiber and almost fat-free, watermelon offers no barrier to slow this quick sugar absorption. The result? A glycemic bomb that, although disguised as a healthy fruit, can be a real problem for those seeking to keep sugar levels controlled. Therefore, watermelon, despite its qualities, should be consumed sparingly, especially by those living with diabetes, prediabetes, or wanting to protect metabolic health. Choosing small portions and always alongside foods rich in protein or good fats makes all the difference. And look, stay alert, because the fruit that raises blood sugar the most, by far, hasn't shown up here yet. It will be revealed in our last chapter, and I guarantee it will surprise you a lot. Number 3. Persimmon. Persimmon is an extremely sweet, soft fruit, highly appreciated for its unique flavor. Its shiny appearance and creamy texture make a true temptation, especially when very ripe. However, behind all that sweet flavor, persimmon hides a surprisingly high amount of natural sugar, making it a big villain for those who need to control blood glucose. The big problem with persimmon lies in the combination of high glucose and fructose content, combined with being a fruit poor in fiber when very ripe. This imbalance causes sugars to be rapidly absorbed, provoking significant glycemic elevations in just minutes. And this effect isn't just theoretical, it's felt in practice, especially by those already having some degree of insulin resistance. Also, persimmon is one of those fruits we tend to consume in large amounts without noticing. After all, who eats just one persimmon? Usually 2, 3, sometimes more, which represents a real sugar load for the body. This high consumption, combined with the high glycemic index, makes the pancreas work much harder to try to balance glucose levels. Another point to consider is that despite its vitamins and antioxidants, persimmon has a significant metabolic impact. It might seem harmless. It is a natural fruit after all, but don't be fooled. For those wanting to control blood sugar, consumption must be extremely moderate and preferably accompanied by sources of fat or protein. And if you think persimmon is already one of the worst, get ready, because the champion fruit in raising blood sugar is still to come. And I will reveal this true villain in the last chapter of this video. Stay with me, you can't miss it. Number 2, orange. Orange is one of the most loved and popular fruits, famous for being an excellent source of vitamin C and antioxidants. However, what many people don't know is that despite its benefits, it can also be a big trap for those needing to keep glucose levels under control. This is mainly due to the combination of fructose, glucose, and citric acid present in the fruit. The big problem with orange isn't just its sugar content, but also how it's often consumed. When the fruit is squeezed to make juice, for example, practically all the fibers are eliminated. And what's left? A very high concentration of liquid sugar that is rapidly absorbed by the body, causing intense and almost immediate glycemic spikes. Even when consumed whole, orange has a moderate glycemic index but a relevant glycemic load, especially if ingested in large quantities. Eating 2 or 3 oranges at once, quite common, represents a greater glycemic impact than many realize. And of course, this becomes even more worrying for people with diabetes, prediabetes, or those trying to lose weight and improve metabolic health. Additionally, the combination of fructose with citric acid present in orange can temporarily increase insulin resistance in some more sensitive people. This means that besides raising glucose, it can momentarily hinder this hormone's action, so important for metabolic balance. Therefore, if you like orange, the ideal is to consume it in moderation, always as the whole fruit, never as juice, and preferably alongside foods rich in healthy fats or proteins, like nuts or natural yogurt. This combination helps reduce glycemic impact and makes consumption much safer. And look, if you think these fruits have surprised you so far, get ready. Because the champion of champions, the one that raises blood sugar the most, will be revealed in our last chapter. And I guarantee, this information can completely change the way you look at fruits from now on. Number 1, peaches in syrup. We've reached the fruit that raises blood sugar the most, and it's no coincidence. Peaches in syrup represent, by far, the greatest glycemic danger among all the options we've talked about so far. And the reason is very simple. Besides the natural sugars of the peach itself, it receives an absurd amount of added sugar during the syrup preservation process. When you open a can of peaches in syrup, you're actually consuming a dessert disguised as fruit. The amount of sugar present is so large that, in many cases, it surpasses that of sweets like puddings, pies, and even some processed cakes. This means that by eating just 2 halves of peaches in syrup, you're already putting in your body a volume of sugar that could be enough for an entire snack, and not a healthy snack, mind you. The impact of this on glycemia is devastating. The syrup sugar is pure, refined, and highly absorbable. This causes the blood glucose peak to be almost instantaneous, provoking brutal overload on the pancreas. For those already with prediabetes, diabetes, or insulin resistance, this is practically an invitation for glycemic imbalance, and consequently, for all complications this imbalance brings. Another concerning factor is that precisely because its canned peaches in syrup lose much of the fiber present in fresh peaches. And as you've learned throughout this video, fibers help slow glucose absorption. In other words, besides receiving an immense sugar load, your body doesn't even have fiber support to minimize the damage. If you really care about your health, glucose, and well-being, peaches in syrup should be treated like any other ultra-processed sweet. Its consumption needs to be extremely occasional, or preferably eliminated from a diet, especially if the goal is to control blood sugar and prevent metabolic diseases. And look, if you've been shocked by everything you've seen so far, I have good news. In the next chapters, I'll tell you which fruits do exactly the opposite of the ones we talk about. Fruits that help lower blood sugar levels, balance your glycemia, and protect your health naturally, intelligently, and very deliciously. You can't miss this sequence. Fruit 1. Avocado. Avocado is, without a doubt, one of the best fruits for anyone wanting to control blood sugar naturally and extremely efficiently. Unlike most fruits, it's low in carbohydrates and very rich in healthy fats, especially monounsaturated fats. These fats play a fundamental role in improving insulin sensitivity, which is precisely the key to keeping glycemia under control. When insulin sensitivity is good, the body can use glucose efficiently, preventing it from accumulating in the blood. And avocado acts directly in this process, helping reduce both the peaks and valleys of glycemia throughout the day. This means more energy, less uncontrolled hunger, and of course, protection against metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes. Besides healthy fats, avocado also offers a good amount of fiber, which is essential to slow the absorption of the few carbs it contains. This makes glucose release in the blood slow, constant, and stable, exactly what we want when thinking about metabolic health. Another extremely positive point is that avocado is highly satiating. By including this fruit in your meals, you feel full much longer, which naturally helps avoid snacking at wrong times and consequently excessive carb intake. The coolest part is that it's an extremely versatile fruit. It can be used in both sweet and savory preparations, guacamole, creams, smoothies, or even plain with a little lemon and salt. The possibilities are endless and all beneficial for your glycemia. If you're looking for a fruit friendly to glycemic control, avocado definitely needs to be part of your diet routine. Your body will thank you, and your metabolic health too. Fruit 2. Green apple. Green apple is practically a symbol when we talk about fruits that help metabolic health and blood sugar control. That's no coincidence. It's extremely rich in fiber, especially in the skin, and has a much lower sugar content compared to sweeter varieties like Gala or Fuji apples. The fibers in green apple play a crucial role. They slow carbohydrate absorption, causing glucose to be released slowly into the bloodstream. This prevents rapid sugar spikes and protects the body from the harmful effects of uncontrolled glycemia. Moreover, these fibers contribute to more efficient digestion and a healthier intestine, factors directly linked to metabolic balance. Another very interesting point is that green apple contains bioactive compounds like polyphenol, which are powerful antioxidants. These compounds help fight inflammation in the body, improve insulin sensitivity, and protect cells from damage caused by free radicals. And it doesn't stop there. Being a slightly acidic fruit, it generates greater satiety compared to sweeter varieties. This means that by including a green apple as a snack or side, you feel satisfied much longer, reducing that constant desire to consume sweets or fast carbs. For all these reasons, including green apple in your routine is not just a smart choice, it's a real gift for your body. And remember, the more whole the consumption, the better. Always with skin, always with plenty of chewing, and preferably combined with a source of good fat or protein. Fruit 3. Strawberry. Strawberry is one of the most recommended fruits for those seeking to control blood sugar levels, and the reason is simple and powerful. It's extremely low in carbs and, at the same time, very rich in antioxidants, fiber, and bioactive compounds that act directly in metabolic protection. The amount of sugar present in strawberry is surprisingly low. A full cup of the fruit has less than 8 grams of carbs, most of which are fibers. This means that besides having very little glycemic impact, strawberry also helps slow the absorption of the carbs themselves, creating a natural barrier against glucose spikes. Another factor that makes strawberry a true health ally is its high concentration of anthocyanins, which are powerful antioxidants responsible, including for its vibrant color. These compounds help improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation in the body, and also fight premature cell aging. And we can't forget the satiety factor. Although light, strawberry provides a good sense of satisfaction, especially when combined with other sources of good fats like natural yogurt, nuts, or even a spoon of peanut butter. Moreover, it's extremely versatile. It can be consumed plain in salads, smoothies, healthy desserts, or as a breakfast complement. And the best part, without causing glucose spikes and still contributing to glycemic stability throughout the day. If you want a fruit that combines flavor, practicality, and real benefits for blood sugar control, strawberry is undoubtedly one of the best choices. Fruit 4. Raspberry. Raspberry, despite being small, carries huge power when it comes to metabolic health. It is one of the richest fruits in fiber and antioxidants, essential factors for those seeking to reduce and control blood sugar levels naturally. Just to give you an idea, a single cup of raspberries contains about 8 grams of fiber, a very high number for such a light fruit. This means it not only has few available carbs, but also very efficiently slows the absorption of those sugars in the intestine. Result: a slow and controlled release of glucose into the bloodstream. Besides fiber, raspberry is very rich in phenolic compounds, especially anthocyanins, which are powerful antioxidants. These compounds help improve insulin sensitivity, protect cells against oxidative stress, and reduce inflammation. 3 fundamental pillars for those wanting to maintain glycemia under control and prevent metabolic complications. And there's more. Regular raspberry consumption also contributes to greater satiety, decreasing that constant desire to consume foods rich in sugar or refined carbohydrates. This alone already represents a huge advantage in building a balanced diet. Because it's a delicate and sophisticated fruit, raspberry fits perfectly in many preparations, from a simple snack with yogurt to desserts, salads, and even savory dishes, giving a special sweet and sour touch. If you want to invest in health, glycemic balance, and well-being, raspberry definitely needs to be on your list of favorite foods. Fruit 5. Lemon. Lemon is a true gem when it comes to glycemic control. Although often remembered only as a seasoning or side, it offers extremely relevant metabolic benefits. Its impact on reducing glucose spikes after meals is impressive. The secret of lemon lies in organic acids, especially citric acid, which acts directly in slowing carbohydrate digestion. By consuming lemon with meals, whether squeezed on salad, in water, or over meats and vegetables, you are, in practice, helping your body release glucose into the bloodstream much more slowly and controlled. Additionally, lemon stimulates the production of digestive enzymes and improves liver function, contributing to overall metabolic balance. It's also an excellent source of vitamin C, an antioxidant that protects cells, fights inflammation, and helps reduce insulin resistance. Another little talked about benefit is that lemon contributes to alkalizing the body, which improves the internal environment and favors a more efficient metabolic response, including in blood sugar control. Lemon consumption can be daily and in various forms. From that classic lemon water on an empty stomach to seasoning almost any dish. And the best part, besides helping control glucose, it's refreshing, versatile, and practically calorie-free. If you want simple, cheap, and powerful ally in the fight against sugar spikes, lemon is definitely an indispensable choice. Fruit 6. Blackberry. Closing this sequence of incredible fruits, we have blackberry, a champion when it comes to glycemic control. Rich in bioactive compounds, fiber, and antioxidants, it offers a powerful combo of benefits for those wanting to keep glucose under control and protect metabolic health. The main differential of blackberry lies in its compounds called anthocyanins and flavonoids. These substances not only fight free radicals, but also significantly improve insulin sensitivity. This means the body starts using glucose better, avoiding accumulation in the blood, and reducing the risk of insulin resistance. Additionally, blackberry has a very high amount of soluble and insoluble fibers that slow carbohydrate absorption in the intestine. This ensures glucose enters the bloodstream gradually and controlled, without those dangerous spikes that harm metabolism. And there's more. Studies show regular blackberry consumption also helps reduce bad cholesterol, LDL, levels and improves cardiovascular health, factors directly linked to glycemic balance and overall well-being. The versatility of blackberry is another plus. It can be consumed fresh, frozen, in smoothies, salads, natural jams, or even in savory dishes, bringing a delicious and very healthy sweet and sour touch. If there's a fruit that deserves to be called a superfood in glycemic control, this fruit is definitely blackberry. Small in size, but gigantic in benefits. And if you want to keep receiving the best videos for your health, subscribe to the channel, because it only exists for one reason: to make you a healthier person with better quality of life. Helping you is my mission. In the video now on your screen, I reveal the #1 drink to eliminate excess sugar and beat diabetes. Click on the screen and check it out.